Thank you for listening to BizPod with me, Paul.
And me, Rachel.
Our weekly business English podcast where we talk about the news, social media, and hot topics from a business point of view. You'll get a podcast and links to the articles we discuss. This way you can share your thoughts too. Join us as we discuss what's on our minds this week.
Paul, do you remember this time last year, or just a little bit earlier, it was about October time, wasn't it? We were looking for a new car because our beautiful, lovely old Volkswagen camper van finally coughed and died.
Yeah, I do actually, yeah.
And do you remember we looked at the lovely, shiny, very nice electric cars?
We looked at the very shiny, nice electric Volkswagen Buzz. Do you remember the Volkswagen Buzz?
We do. The camper van, yes.
Yeah, the Volkswagen Buzz is a very nice van. It's a bit expensive though.
It was 100,000 euros, or if you wanted to lease it, it was a 10,000 euro deposit and then about 500 a month.
Yeah, maybe a bit more than that.
Yeah.
To lease it, yeah.
It was just too much.
Yeah. Plus, it was an electric vehicle, and I applaud the idea of electric vehicles. Mm-hmm. They're cleaner than, say, gas and diesel and petrol.
Mm-hmm. In terms of emissions, yeah.
In terms of direct emissions, yeah. But they're very expensive, aren't they?
But there was one car we looked at which actually was more than the price of our house.
What's that?
Yes.
Well, I mean the Buzz as well, the Volkswagen Buzz.
Yeah, no, I was talking about a car.
A car,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I think
they're big as well. They're really big and really heavy.
Yeah. Well, I think cars in general are expensive, more expensive than they used to be. Mm-hmm. Some of them are definitely more expensive than a house, especially if you're looking at Ferraris, Maseratis, Jaguars.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, there is this whole conversation that people aren't buying electric vehicles as quickly as the governments or the car industry want them to buy them, or is it the government setting targets that people have got to buy electric vehicles and people just aren't doing it?
It could be, yeah. I think having targets and trying to encourage people to buy electric cars, it's probably a good thing, but perhaps there's been a lot in the news recently, and we're going to talk about Stellantis and the closure of the Volkswagen, not the Volkswagen, the Vauxhall plant in the UK.
Yeah. But
I think penalising the companies because the consumers aren't buying their electric products, I don't think that's a model that's going to work.
No. But basically, the car industry is in trouble.
Yeah.
Isn't any way you look at it.
I think it's always been a precarious industry. It's probably, in good times, it's probably a really good industry to be in. Mm-hmm. But when people haven't got spare cash, probably the last thing they're going to do is buy a new car.
Economic crisis. Well, I had a group class this morning where we discussed electric vehicles.
Okay.
And there was one lady in the class who had an electric vehicle, and she only had it because the company leased it to her. She said she would never buy one, but as a lease vehicle, she would have it.
Okay.
Because she said every 3 years she gets a replacement. She says she wouldn't buy one because she would be worried it would be out of date too quick. And she didn't want the hassle of having to replace the batteries.
Yeah.
We had this whole discussion about getting rid of the batteries. There was another person in the class who had an electric vehicle and he used the old batteries to then be a rechargeable source of power for his garden lights. He set up a little solar thing and got it all working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough.
But, I mean, we can't all do that. But the overall mood in the class was nobody was going to touch an electric vehicle because A, they're too expensive, and B, there weren't the charging points.
Yeah. And then you have to remember the battery situation, like you said. The batteries, they have a lifespan. I don't know exactly how long it is, but maybe the lifespan of the battery is 3-4 years.
I don't know.
Generally, I think when the warranty on your new car runs out, that's when the lifespan of your batteries is going to end. And I think the batteries, to replace them, it's another massive investment. They're not cheap.
No, but it's not a replacement. It's like they haven't figured out how to recycle them. I mean, there's lots of really important raw materials in the battery that they
Yeah.
need to work out a way to recycle.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be encouraging people to buy electric vehicles until they've solved the battery problem.
Yeah, but I suppose the problem is, from an industry point of view, it's cheaper to actually mine the new raw materials than it is to recycle
But that's
the raw
wrong.
materials.
That's not going to save the planet.
Well,
Yeah. But I mean, nobody in the class, until I mentioned it,
Yeah.
brought up the fact that if you did have or even hire an electric vehicle, you're sitting there all nice and comfy and secure in your seat thinking, oh, I'm saving the planet. But they're not thinking about whether the electric that they charge the vehicle with has come from a sustainable source. It could have come from a gas-fired or a coal-fired power station and be just as polluting.
yeah.
It's a NIMBY, isn't it? Not in my backyard.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm being good. I'm driving an electric vehicle. Yeah, but where did you get electric from?
Yeah, that's one of the problems with electric vehicles. You have to think about, you're not really solving any environmental problem.
Mm-hmm.
You're just moving the problem from where you are
Yeah.
to where the electricity is
Yeah.
created.
Kicking the can down the road
Yeah.
to somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the article we're talking about is about the car-making giant Stellantis Group.
Yeah.
One of their brands, one of their UK brands, is Vauxhall.
Yes.
And
Otherwise known as Opel in
Opel
Europe.
in Europe,
Yeah.
but Vauxhall in England, in the UK. They have this factory in Luton, north of London.
Yeah.
Which
Long
they,
time factory, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's been there for a long
decades.
yeah,
Yeah.
40, 50 years perhaps.
Yeah.
But it's closing.
Yeah.
It's closing because it's no longer viable.
They make electric vans.
Yeah. 1,100 jobs. It says here 1,100 jobs at risk. What did you say about that?
I said it's not a risk. The factory's gone. It's, it's 1,100 jobs lost. They're clinging on to the hope that...
Something miraculous might
But what?
happen.
If people aren't buying the vehicles, they aren't buying the vehicles.
But I suppose when we're talking about like a factory like this, 1,100 jobs gone. That's just the jobs at the factory. This kind of thing has a much wider effect on the local area and the local community, because if there are no longer 1,100 people working, all of the things that those people, so all the services that those people use, roads, petrol for their cars, the cafes where they have coffee, the place where they go for lunch.
Even people like the cleaners in the offices of the factory, the security guards. There's all these peripheral little jobs. So it's more than 1,100. It's probably double that.
I would say 10 times that. When you
Small
consider
businesses.
all the small businesses that rely on these people, all the suppliers. Yeah, so it's probably more like 10,000 jobs that are at risk from this.
It's terrible.
It is, but it is a part of life, I think.
Well, one thing that got me on the news, they were talking about skilled jobs, trying to find replacement jobs for these skilled workers. But then you saw the pictures on the news, and they were all like robot automation with just humans just moving bits from one, the little bits that the robots couldn't do.
Yeah.
And I was like, skilled? Where's the skill in that? That's not a transferable skill. Well, you move something on a conveyor belt.
Well, they can get a job at Amazon. Maybe.
No, but I thought that's awful. They're going to need,
Yeah.
they need retraining. They need new opportunities. They need much more support than just saying, oh, let's transfer them.
You're absolutely right, yeah. But you're right. I mean, the companies, I suppose, they should have some sort of responsibility for retraining and helping people find new jobs if they can.
But anyway, what about Carlos Tavares?
Yeah, let's talk about Carlos Tavares. Well, he has quit. The former chief executive of the Stellantis Group. He's quit.
Yep.
He's quit his job.
He just went, not my problem, I'm going.
Yeah. It would be nice if we could all just quit our jobs and not worry about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure...
He's got a nice golden handshake, hasn't he?
I'm sure he had a pretty good salary being the chief executive of a global firm.
Yeah.
What do you think about him quitting? I mean, I'm reading this article, and my understanding is he quit before he was fired.
Yeah, I mean, it talks about him saying he was a man who made his name at Renault, saving Renault as they were close to bankruptcy. He was credited with turning it around before orchestrating a merger with Fiat Chrysler. So maybe he was brought into Stellantis to change things, but maybe he's either gone a step too far and cut too much, or
he hasn't gone far enough.
So either he's failed, and I think he's jumping before he's pushed.
I think he's jumped before he's been pushed.
Yeah.
It's always better to leave before they turn around and fire you, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which is a nice thing. If you're in a position where you can walk away from your job, great. You know, if you've got a few million in the bank.
He's not walking away from his job. He's walking away from a potential catastrophe and making sure his name is not connected to it.
Okay, I agree. Yeah.
Which I think is rather, shameful, actually. It's not much of a leader, is he?
But if he was going to get pushed anyway.
Yeah, but he's like, I'm only going to be here for the good times. He's not sorting out the problems.
Well, if you read about his past, he has resolved loads of problems with like the Renault Group, the Peugeot Group. So he's possibly not shying away from those problems, but there comes a stage where I suppose you can't just constantly sort of cut and reduce spending.
They're different entities. Just because they're the same in the automotive business, just because something worked over here doesn't mean it's going to work over there.
Yeah, you're right.
It's different people, different vehicles, different times. Times have moved on. And
this article also talks about, North America being, a giant market for the automotive industry, but the Stellantis group, they're doing really badly in North America.
It's going to be even worse when Trump comes in.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have Made in America.
Yeah, because Chrysler's an American brand.
Yeah, but
Jeep's an American brand.
The thing was, they were delaying products and providing lots and lots of the wrong type of car, failing to adapt to changing customer tastes and losing ground to more dynamic rivals. So basically, they were saying, here, buy this, and customers are saying, no, I don't want that, I want that.
Yeah.
That's an absolute no-no, isn't it? If you're in a product consumer market, you've got to provide what the consumer wants. It's an instant failure.
Yeah, but also you also have to think about the time to market sort of issue with vehicles. Yeah. You can't just suddenly decide to let's have a new car. The whole process takes like 3 to 5 years.
So that means this guy was making mistakes 2, 3, 5 years ago.
Probably, yeah.
Ooh.
But then no one realises it until your new product's out in the market and all of a sudden no one wants to buy it.
Well,
what do you do in a situation
Well, he's obviously
like that?
too old, too out of touch. Maybe they need some young blood coming in then. So there's a new guy, isn't there, who sounded rather dynamic, who stepped into place temporarily. Where is he? He was part of, there we go, John Elkann, who is a member of the powerful Agnelli family of Italian industrialists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Italian leadership. Well, obviously within the Stellantis Fiat Group, I'm sure there is Ferrari. That's part of that group.
Yeah.
Ferrari is a well-known, successful brand, so perhaps they can learn something from that.
Yeah.
If he is from Ferrari.
Yeah, but I just think if he's from an Italian family, he's gonna know more about tastes and style and design.
Charisma.
Yeah, people don't just buy a car to get them from A to B when it's as expensive as those electric vehicles. Yeah. They're buying something that's like, oh yeah, that's me. That's gonna put me in a position, make me look this way or feel this way. It's the emotion, and I think an Italian can do that.
Yeah,
the
I
allure.
kind of agree. Yeah. I think
you're buying into a dream.
Yeah, not like those Frenchies. Those Frenchies don't understand dreams, do they? The Italians understand the passion and the dreams.
Hang on, does our Fiat fulfill our dream? Our Fiat Doblo?
It's not just a Fiat Doblo, right? It's our Fiat Doblo.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, yeah. So, it's an interesting story.
It's a very interesting story. It's a bigger story than the article. There's a lot to talk about and unpack there. Yeah. If you're in the automotive industry, definitely read it. If you're not in the automotive industry, then absolutely read it.
Yeah. The article sort of finishes, I don't think there are any guarantees about the future whatsoever of Stellantis' operations in the UK.
See, I would argue you could just say, I don't think there are any guarantees about the future.
Whatsoever.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Shall we end on that point, Paul?
Yeah, because you can never guarantee the future.
Okay. All right. Another conversation next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. We hope you liked our podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe and stay connected with us. Until next time, goodbye.